Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So today we have something a little bit different. So I thought we could expand my Exposing Your Secrets series on my channel. Instead of just having it about sex secrets or your dirty secrets, I thought we could introduce some other topics into this series to mix it up a little bit. So today we're going to be exposing your worst breakup stories. I thought this would be a really interesting one to do because breakups are a universal experience that most of us go through. But the details of breakups are something that most of us don't share with people. I know myself, like, my worst breakups, I've only shared the details of them to a very few select people, because breakups can be so traumatic. And I know myself, had I have had a video like this when I was going through some of my bad breakups, it would have really eased my anxieties to know that, you know, I'm not the only one going through such an insane situation. So let's just dive right on into these breakup stories. Where do I even start with bad breakups? My most recent ex of 6 years and also my child's dad told me by text that he had cheated on me the year before and now had a 3-month-old baby. Oh my fucking god. You thought that was all? She's not done yet. Another ex ghosted me after over a year together. Found out about a month later he was actually taken to jail for attempted murder. Needless to say, I've taken a break from relationships for the time being. You got double whammied. Talk about a double whammy. Getting ghosted after a year. Like, one of my friends was ghosted after like 3 years with her boyfriend. It is absolutely disgusting the way these men can so willy-nilly just like cut you off. Like, not even any hesitation. Even the fact, like, how your child's dad wasn't man enough to face his baby mama and tell him what he actually did. Like, you know, it's his own actions. Look at me paying the price for my own actions. Ooh. It's actually so scary how you can be with somebody and you can still fully not have a clue who they are, even though in your heart and soul you are so convinced that you know this person to their core. You can not know the first thing about them. That honestly terrifies me. Okay, move on. This is soul shocking stuff. My last boyfriend stopped in the middle of sex, to talk to me and broke it off in bed over him, but not over how he chose to do it. I don't think anybody would get over somebody breaking up with them like that. How sick. That is the only word I have for somebody who can do something like that. How sick do you have to be to do something like that? And you know what? Another thing I've heard a lot of as well is like fellas sleeping with you and then like an hour or two later breaking up with you. So it's like getting like the last fucking ride in. And it's like, what is actually wrong with you? So it's like, at this point, they fully know in their head that they're done. They fully know that they're walking away. They fully know that they don't want this anymore. My button has exited the chat. That is fantastic. And they still go ahead. It's like this sick game. It's a game to them at that point. You genuinely must have to very little morals or values if you're able to treat a human being like that, because of course you're never going to stop to think how she's going to feel after that situation. And I'm not just talking about a week or a month. That could affect somebody for a very, very long time. And especially if you spent a long time with somebody or you had, you know, such a committed relationship, to then for that to be how it ends, I feel like it would really, really mess with your head. Because normally, like, before a breakup happens, like, maybe you aren't having sex. Like, you know, that's normally a pretty normal progression. And then a breakup might happen. But, fucking hell, to see no signs coming, like, middle of sex. So, I had been dating a guy for just over 2 years when he broke up with me. I wanted to try and fix things because this had been our first major difficulty. But he didn't want to try. Even though we had broken up, we still were talking occasionally, and in conversation he said he wasn't going to be here that much longer / he didn't see himself living that much longer. Obviously this terrified me and I wanted to help him, but I also was trying to deal with the breakup. I was so scared he was going to do something to himself that I rang his mum to let her know what he said and that I was worried. She said she would speak to him. She then rang me back to say that he said I was making things up and there was nothing wrong with him. Oh my god. That is literal manipulation to its absolute finest. No problem, like, I think if he did or was confiding in you and he genuinely felt that way, especially if, like, maybe you guys, you know, spoke about things when you were feeling down, like you would open up to each other. But it's a totally different story to turn it around and make you look like the nut job, make you look insane. This is something that men like to do a lot, and they're very good at it, may I add. Turning a whole situation around back on you. And I have found myself in that situation so many times, and it's like, how has this happened? Like, you cheated on me and now it's my fault? Like, okay, so it was a really toxic relationship from the start. He cut me off from all my friends and wanted me all to himself. That is never a good sign. As soon as you see that, run. That happened to me in my first relationship, and it was an absolute nightmare. Like, trying to come back, like, especially if you and this person break up, like, you literally have nobody. Like, you cannot ever put yourself in a situation where you're turning your back on everyone else in your life, because you don't know when and if they could turn their back on you, do you know? Yeah, so he cut me off from all my friends and wanted me all to himself. He told me early on in the relationship, if I broke up with him, he'd kill himself. Early on in the relationship. Oh my god. So it's not like he even said this in like a big fight or something. So he genuinely just said this in passing. Okay, fast forward a year and I started to suffer with bad mental health, and he broke up with me because I told him I was depressed and I think I needed help. I had nobody because he cut me off, and then he started spreading lies to all his friends and my former friends. Told them private things I'd share with him, accused me of horrible things that never even happened, and in general played the victim. Even though he was the manipulative one who broke me. Anytime I saw people, they were talking about me and laughing about me, and I never knew what lies he'd made up about me now. Took a while to recover from that. It's mad, like, you know, they say a lot in friendships how, like, you know, a lot of the time as soon as shit hits the fan, like, you know, where your friends mightn't be anywhere to be seen, and if that is the case, that means that they're not real friends, like, they're fake friends, you know, like, genuine friends, they're going to be there through the good and bad times. Just like a partner, a good partner is going to be there through the good and bad times. A shitty partner is going to run when shit gets hard. And unfortunately, well, actually, you know what, sometimes I think it can nearly be a blessing in disguise when some big difficult thing happens in your life, like, just say, like, with your mental health or whatever. Like, I've been in a situation before, you know, where you see their true colours then. And I honestly think it's always better sooner than later to see someone's true colours. Like, you don't want to be fucking 10 years into this relationship, 3 babies down, a house and a mortgage, and then you're like, I actually didn't really know who I was married to the whole time. So at least, you know, if hard things happen and he runs, then you can say thank you, goodbye. At least now there is a space for somebody who bloody values me in my life. I also think it's so disgusting when, like, whether it be like a partner, an ex-partner or an ex-friend, for people to go and share things with others that you shared in confidence. Like, when you share something with somebody in confidence, that is such a deep act of trust, and you are putting so much into their hands. And, like, for me, there are people that I used to be friends with that I'm no longer friends with, and I never and never would utter a word of certain things they told me ever, because they didn't want me to, and I stand by that. You know, regardless of whatever went wrong with us, regardless of any of that, you know, you keep that to yourself. I honestly think it says so much about a person when they behave in such a manner. My boyfriend dropped me home one night. A few hours later, his mum starts texting me all these horrible messages, so I told him about it. Him and I didn't chat a lot over the next couple of days. That should have been a first red flag. Then 2 days later, he texts me that morning saying, have a good day at work. And later that night breaks up with me via text. Make it make sense. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, he still kept texting me daily for the week or two after the breakup, and when I tried to ask any questions, wasn't able to answer. His mum essentially split us up. Now, I don't regret it, but at the time he was my first boyfriend, so it was hard to get over. I will bring it to my grave. I honestly think there is nothing harder than your first breakup, and it's not necessarily about the person, it's more so about the experience of heartbreak. You've never dealt with it before. It genuinely feels like your whole world is falling apart. It feels like you are being crushed, like, alive. It's just so hard to maneuver any experience or situation when it's your first time going through it. You know, it's like your first time losing a loved one. That is so difficult. I'd love to know what his mum was saying though. Like, she was obviously in his ear like this about you, and then in your ear like this about him. I hate when parents are like that, like, get so involved in stuff. I don't think it's right. Let them make their own mistakes. Like, let them, you know, fuck up. Like, stop getting involved, especially once you get to a certain age. Oh my god. Okay, I got dumped at IKEA. IKEA is like a death trap for couples. It is a literal death trap. I think it should be genuinely illegal for couples to go to IKEA together. I have heard so many stories. It's like you go in there fine and you just come out of it and you are not talking. The car ride home is very depressing. And yeah, it's like a whole thing, isn't it? Like, I've heard so many people have stories similar to this. So got dumped at IKEA and had to let him take me and my new furniture home that he let me buy first. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is right? So, like, was it like mid-shopping? He was just like, oh, by the way, like, I don't want this anymore, we're done. But get your furniture, buy it, we'll pack it up in the car and then I'll drop you off. Like, I don't know why people break up in such an environment. Like, you know, you've got to still go around the shop, you've got to go through the till, you've got to pack up the car. At least wait until you're home. Like, if you're so sure, if this isn't what you want anymore, like, why have you got to make this, like, so much more awkward and uncomfortable for me than it has to be? Like, I would hate to go through something like that in a public space. When I got home where I lived with my younger brother, I was so embarrassed and didn't want him to know, so I made the guy take my furniture and act like nothing had happened and say he was taking me out for food, when actually he dropped me off in town. Then phoned my mum, who was at her holiday house in tears. She told me to jump on the next train to her, where I arrived with no spare clothes or anything. Ended up having the best weekend though, and my mum broke the news to my brother. It actually sounds like you actually handled that really well though. He cheated on me with his best friend, two of the girls I was working with at the time, and my brother's boyfriend. So he cheated with a girl, two girls and a guy. Hid all of that from me and then told me all in one night. After we broke up, he decided he wanted to be friends with benefits. Get absolutely fucked. In the bin. Then the next day cut contact with me completely as he'd got with a new girl. 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant with his child. Oh, and pretty far on, had a late-term abortion, 21 weeks, of which he didn't attend any appointments for at all, as he had to be with his girlfriend at the time of all appointments, as he believed she would get jealous that he was around me. Then over a month after the abortion, I went on a date with a guy, and my ex screamed at me telling me I always did everything to spite him, just because he didn't like the guy I was dating. What? Like, make it make sense. Like, where is the logic? Yeah, so I'm the one who does everything to spite you. Even though you were the one who broke up with me, said friends with benefits, then dropped me like that when you got a new girl, then left me alone to go through one of the hardest things I'll probably ever go through in my life, traumatizing, all of this, and then months and months after we break up, I finally go on a date with somebody trying to, you know, get out there, get a bit of my confidence back, but I do everything to spite you. Yeah, there we go again. Turning the tables. Great at that. Yeah, it must be so difficult to be treated so badly by somebody and then to find out like months after you have broken up that you're pregnant. Like, I can't even imagine how hard of a situation that would be to deal with emotionally. So my ex and I were living in student accommodation together. I broke up with him as it had just run its course, etc. He moved out and he rented a room across the street. He then proceeded to message and call me constantly. Oh my god, there's always one of those. There is always one of those. Didn't get the message when I gave blunt responses and tried to let the convo die off, etc. So had to just be frank and wanted him to know I didn't want to talk anymore. Wanted a clean break, etc. He wanted to be friends and I said it couldn't work. Maybe down the line, but not now. He continued to message and call. I met a guy in a local student bar and he was walking me home and my ex was there and followed us home. Kept shouting like, can't believe you're going home with him, etc. This was about a month after the breakup. After that, I blocked him off everything. He then kept putting his number on unknown and called me. Oh my god, this is literal Joe from You on Netflix vibes. Stalker vibes. I'm talking like 30 times in one night. Don't know how you can have someone blocked but they can then put their number on unknown and it still comes true. But hey ho, maybe he had a different phone. This boy does not seem like you're just going to see all of them when you're looking at him. So that was fine, kept ignoring and had blocked and everything. Went away for the summer in a J1 and I constantly got friend requests on Snapchat from different made up names like, please forgive me, can we be friends, please talk to me, oh my god, etc, etc. Honestly, it was so cringy, I can't cope. This was in the summer and we broke up in January. He then started sending me emails. Oh, yep, emails. Eventually I got a new boyfriend in like the October of that year. And that's when I got the final email, hoping I was happy, etc. And haven't heard from him since. Praise Jesus. And they all lived happily ever after. Oh my god, I got an email once as well from an ex, and it's so weird. I just think when you go to the point of emailing somebody, like, it's so unnecessary in this day and age. I feel like if you're having to stoop to the email level, like, maybe you shouldn't be reaching out. If you are blocked for a reason. They don't want to hear from you. They don't want to be contacted. And if you are not blocked, why are you going for the email? Like, it's like you're trying to make this seem more dramatic than it needs to be. Like, that was like in my situation, I'm nearly sure I didn't even have his number blocked. I don't think I did. And I got an email. And I was like, Hunty, you could have just sent me a WhatsApp. Like, why are you making this so dramatic for no reason? It sounds like this boy was like unhealthily obsessed with you. Like, it was like obsession, not infatuation, not love, like full on obsession with you. I was with this girl and me and her best friend went out. So it was the two of yous were in a couple and then her best friend. Came back home and her best friend was staying over the night. Must have been around 2-3 a.m. and I woke up to them having sex next to me in bed. See, girls can be just as bad as men. Women can be just as bad in ways. Safe to say I was out of there extremely quickly. She's now with that girl. Oh my god. Like, and she's with the girl. I feel like that's always like really hurtful, and I feel like that's always really painful, like to be cheated on and they actually end up with them. Like, it's not even just like a one night thing and you can kind of be like, oh yeah, I hope she obviously wasn't fucking worth it. Like, do you know what I mean? One night stand sex is normally like so bad, like most of the time, like, cause you don't know each other, and you must have a real strong head on your shoulders to have just gotten up and walked out. Like, if that was me. But, like, it's very easy to say, isn't it? That was me. Like, there's no way I could have just walked out. Like, I would have went in and confronted her 100%. But at the same time, like, when you're in a situation, the way you can react can be just the complete opposite from how you think you would. And, like, your brain in that moment would have been like, I am actually not dealing with this. Fuck you. I'd love to know if you ever said it to her, if you ever confronted her about it. Did she know you knew, or did you just break up with her? Like, I have so many questions. Okay, so long story short, a couple of years ago prior, oh no, my button opened. This shirt and me are not getting on. These buttons and me are not getting on. They mustn't be sewed in very well. Basically, I was living with my dad at the time and my boyfriend lived around the corner. We were just kids, like 16, just finishing school, and he was off school one day. And I texted him asking him to come round or if I could go to his when I was home. My dad was at hospital for an operation and in overnight, so I was alone and needed company and support. Anyway, he texted me saying he was really ill and if he feels better later, he'd let me know. He knocked on my door later that day and he came in. He took his phone out of his pocket and a bus ticket came flying out. Dated that day. Questioned him. Oh my god. Dated that day. Questioned him where he'd been. He said he was at the doctor's since he was ill. Yeah, probably doesn't even need to get a bus there. Probably can walk. Probably around the corner. Later on, I was on his phone just taking photos on Snap with him when a text from another girl came on the top of his screen saying what a great day she'd had with him. So I kicked him out and that was that. Oh my god. See, that's something that I can never get behind. Like, I am such a bad liar. And I've always been that way. Guilt and shame eat me up for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Like, they eat me up. I cannot function if I'm guilty about something, if I am feeling shameful about something. Like, I have to say it. So how people can actually do shit like that. So lie through his teeth, tell you he's ill, that like he might come over later, then like he was clearly out all day, got the bus with this girl, and then to actively go to your house and act like nothing was wrong. That is what freaks me out. How people can do that. Like, I have had that done to me as well, like where I've been cheated on and then like obviously this, and like looking back I'm like, there were no signs. Like, you know, really, there were signs, but not in the way they were acting towards me. Like, you know, the way they were treating me was the same as always. And sometimes they say that. Like, sometimes they say even, like, you know, if your partner's cheating on you, they could actually be treating you even better because they're, like, you know, trying to keep you nice and quiet and happy and in the corner like a good little wife at home or a good little girlfriend at home, just like whatever, hee hee. Found out the guy I was dating for 2 years had cheated on me about 5 times, including going out with who I thought were my friends. Oh my god. Okay, so went for hot wings, then gave him a blowjob. When he was in enough pain, I told him to fuck off. I was 18, he was 26. So you ate really hot wings and then sucked his dick because that would have been so... That is absolutely genius. Talk about genius. Oh my god, but you know what? See, again, team spirit. I don't know if I'd be able to do that because I'd be like, I wouldn't want to touch him knowing he cheated on me. Like, I remember I got to that point with my ex as well. Like, I was like, you are literally, just keep going. You're just like, this list, like, we've got a whole catalogue here of girls. I actually want to say that is the winner. That is the winner of our breakup stories today. By far, I have never heard of anyone doing something like that in my life. And it's just absolutely genius. The amount of people who've gotten broken up over text, like, boyfriend dumped me while I was travelling in Australia via Facebook Messenger. I found out me and my ex's 2-year anniversary that he'd been cheating on me. I was in a 2-year relationship and was dumped over a text message while on placement. Like, they really pick their moments, don't they? Like, if I was breaking up with somebody, I think about, the time. Like, not while they're in work. Not while they're on placement. Maybe when they're at home in the evening and you go and see them and talk to them. Or at least pick up the bloody phone if you can't go and see them. Like, I just think this thing about text messages... I can't get behind it. I think it just is so pathetic. Like, grow a pair of balls. Like, we've just spent a couple years together or a year together or like whatever. Like, we've been so intertwined. Do not disrespect me like that. A little bit of respect, honey. I'm going to leave it here for today, but let me know what other topics you would like me to include in this series. I was thinking we could do maybe one on friendship breakups because, oh my god, they can be so complex. And I've had like a couple of really difficult friendship breakups and sometimes they can hurt more than relationships because you never expect to lose them. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed and I can't wait to see you all in my next video and I love you all so very much. Bye bye, friends.